And in fact, our next guest, Chad Copeland, is a pioneer in the use of drones for photography and videography for publications including National Geographic. Before we bring Chad out, let's actually get a glimpse of his work.
Just kind of like articulate your hand. So that one there, no, over there, yep, and my right hand. There we go.
Now, Chad Copeland, National Geographic photographer. Chad, come on up. And of course, he's carrying a large drone. So you can get a sense of what these look like. Chad, come on and join us on stage.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here, Chad.
Chris.
So,
thanks, Chad.
John.
Chad, tell us about these drones that you have here in front of us, because these are not your standard off-the-shelf flying robots.
No, they're not. In fact, so the video that you just saw was all shot on this one over here. It's kind of the solo camera and pilot operator setup that I have. So this is the one that I've done the majority of my work with. The one here in the center and this over here on the side, they kind of have similar roles, except it just depends on what kind of camera, what kind of footage that you're wanting to collect. This one here, of course, flying the Red Epic with a major lens on it. I think that camera, or that system right now is sitting at about 40 pounds. This one over here is probably 13, 14 pounds, but everything is flying a minimum of 4K resolution.
That's great. So we were talking a little bit about the regulatory issues in the United States with Chris. Can you tell us the story of what happened when you tried to get one of these drones into China to shoot the video that you just showed us?
You know, it's very interesting. When I initially flew into China, I had a number of these battery packs, and you'll see here, this is what's powering it.
Go ahead and hold it up if you want.
I'll pull this one over here. Actually, this one might be easy. So this thing is just a brick. It's really, really heavy. And it's a 6-cell battery, and it pushes out a lot of juice. So I had, I think I had $6,000 in these batteries in a big Pelican case. And when I in process basically into the country, they took all of them away from me. And I was like, wait a second here, you know, I need to shoot. I have this thing that I'm doing. And so they almost put me in jail because I was trying to get one of the batteries back. And so finally they gave me one, and I had to fly for almost a month with just one battery. And I'll tell you what, the places that I had to find to charge these things, they're unbelievable.
So you pulled it off for 1 month on one battery, and you had taken 20 there, 19 of them confiscated by the Chinese government.
Exactly, yes.
Ironically, that's where they're made.
I know, right? I was saying the same thing, you know, it's like.
Didn't work.
No. So this is from here.
Yeah, I want to step back for a moment and just ask both of you a kind of a bigger picture question about the acceptance of drones in society. And really, when do you envision a day when or if there will be a day when every American has a drone, just as like everyone has a smartphone out there, or everyone has an automobile. When would that day come? And there are certain public perception issues, obviously, that are associated with these sorts of vehicles, and I want to talk about that as well.
I think it really depends on the definition of drone. So, let me ask you an analogous question. When will everybody have a GoPro camera? Well, I think the answer is a GoPro camera, and the answer is they probably won't. At some point, the functionality of a GoPro camera will just be in your phone. Optics that good, cameras that good, et cetera. And so although the GoPro is not a standalone device, the function, Mark Andreessen says, software eats the world, right? And so things become increasingly integrated into these multi-purpose devices. So a better question might be, when are smartphones going to fly?
Yeah.
I like that idea.
When will that happen?
When we invent anti-gravity. I'm sure someone out there has.
Well, another way of looking at this is that, it's been a long time since we've had something new and that's this different come in. Airplanes at one point, now we look up and, there's just airplanes flying, on the departure or arrival, flight pattern. And right now, drones are that next thing that are a shock value.
Speak about the public perception. I got into it when I mentioned the story in New Jersey with the guy who shot the drone out of the sky over his house, and then there was a story that also just emerged this week that there was I guess some drunk guys got their drone and flew it and landed it on Lincoln's nose at Mount Rushmore or something like that. And this creates this perception that these are vehicles that are not out there for no good, for menacing reasons. Obviously, Chad, given the work that we saw here, you're using it for amazing photography and videography. But how does the society get over that perception hump, and when will that occur?
They said that about the internet, that people, they say about cameras. All technologies, as they democratize, get used for good and for evil. And, and so most people use it for good. And just look at YouTube, look at the videos that Chad's made. This is, there's hundreds of thousands of drones. These are big industrialist ones, but, by and large, the ones that you can buy on Amazon are about this big. They cost under $1,000. There's hundreds of thousands of them out there, and people are making beautiful videos on YouTube. So I think we are overcoming the negative associations of drones with military and scary stuff, with just the positive ones that you see them in your neighborhood and your friends have one. Then as they will be misused. Absolutely, there will be people who misusing, and it is our job as an industry to try to keep the jackasses from doing stupid stuff. Now, this is all, I'm not going to, we can't stop them, but we can certainly let them know what the rules are. The software can try to, so they were flying over Lincoln's, was it Lincoln's or Washington's nose? Lincoln's nose?
I can't remember.
Lincoln's nose.
I can't remember where it
That's
landed.
a national park.
Yeah.
Drones are not allowed in national parks. Our app, that is a setting in it soon in the next beta where it won't let you fly in a no-fly zone.
Oh, interesting. Because of the geolocation.
Because the geofencing. That is a known restricted area. They should not have been allowed to take off. The app should have told them this right off. So we as an industry can do more to educate and nudge users into responsible flight.
Yeah, Chad, do you want to tackle that one?
This aircraft, so one of those scenes that you saw was I was flying over the first wonder of the world. That was a stone forest just south of Kunming, China. And they were the limestone formations that looked like blades that we saw at the beginning of the video. And if we had brought a general aviation helicopter or another piloted aircraft in there, it would have caused a greater disturbance. If this thing right here goes down, it's a piece of carbon fiber, it hits the ground, it's over, and nobody was hurt. And we had a really small footprint, and economically and environmentally, it still has a small footprint. Yeah. So I think that when people start seeing these positive uses, I think that they're going to start seeing, hey, these aren't horrible things. Yeah.
So we have many entrepreneurs and CEOs in the audience, many of them involved in internet startups and hardware startups and other types of companies. What should they be thinking about when they think about drones and the potential applications for their businesses? And is the industry yet at the point where general business people should be thinking about drones in that way?
Oh, it's already happening. Real estate agents everywhere are starting to use drones to image properties. Architects, construction sites are using it to 3D scan stuff. Insurance companies, insurance inspectors, when a tree hits a roof, the first thing they have to do is document the damage. How do you document the roof, especially since it's damaged? Drones are perfect for that. We're here in Amazon. Amazon here, of course, is pioneering drone delivery. For agriculture is big picture. These things have the ability to see the world from a perspective and a resolution we've never had before. Much better than satellites. Anytime, anywhere, access to the sky at sub-centimeter resolution. We've seen what the colonization of the world by cameras and sensors can do at the ground. Google Street View camera phones. We now have the ability to take that to the sky as well. So if you're in an industry that could use big data about our world, from a new perspective, drones are the answer. Yeah.
Chris, I just wanted to follow up on that. You mentioned Amazon's effort with Prime Air, and there's Google with doing Google Wing. I am curious what you think of the delivery aspect of drones and whether we might see that actually in commercial use in, let's say, 5 years. Do you think we'll be getting packages delivered to our doorsteps in that manner?
Yeah, we work closely with both of them. This association, Small UAV Coalition, is with both Amazon and Google, and they use our platforms, and so we know them well. I think it's going to be like any other big technology question. It's sort of, I think what they've articulated is an endpoint. And there's a lot of points in between. So, like with autonomous cars, you're not going to go straight to a robot car. It starts with driver assist and things like that. With drone delivery, what you saw in the video was kind of warehouse to home. I think what you've just seen this last week with DHL in Germany is not a sort of a point to arbitrary domestic point, but rather in Germany they actually delivered pharmaceuticals from the mainland to an island. That was hard to reach, and it was sort of like it's a couple miles away, and it was kind of point A to point B, a cleared path, very safe, protected areas, and so that kind of almost business to business context, starting with warehouse to warehouse, then warehouse to distribution center, then warehouse to drop-off area. Again, sort of much more. And remember, look at the lifting. I mean, you don't want that flying over cities. Well, it's illegal, first of all, to fly over congested areas. But also, just from a safety perspective, that's a flying lawnmower. And in the hands of a trained professional, it's fine. But you don't want them autonomously dropping, your lunch on the sidewalk, next to you. So I think we're going to start with drone zones. We're going to start with designated, sort of point-to-point areas, often on private land, maybe from one warehouse to another, and then we'll see how it goes from there.
Chad, can you? I think people will be interested to hear just how you got your start in building these devices and then doing your photography work. Can you tell us about that transition for you and how you got into using these devices?
Sure. So my career and my passion is aviation. And I am a pilot of manned aircraft as well, and I kind of started down that line. I've always had a camera with me everywhere that I've gone as well, and I used to fly around Alaska looking at these beautiful glaciers and these fjords and Denali, and shooting everything the best that I could. But I'm shooting through a window, and I always wondered how can I get like a camera in the air when I'm out on one of these glaciers or when I'm on the top of a mountain. And it occurred to me that, this was a few years back before the drone hype was kind of a buzz. And so I sort of just started developing and putting something together. These systems here are made by FreeFly. They're a company that's here in Redmond. Amazing folks. And you'll look at the gimbal, what the camera is sitting on these two over here on your guys' right. And it's called the Movi gimbal. So no matter what the aircraft is doing, it can be experiencing really serious winds. The camera will look like it's on a tripod in the sky. It's perfectly motionless. And let me just grab something right here.
Yeah. And I want to let everybody know that all of Chad's drones will be on display during the lunch, the main lunch in the networking area just over here. So if you want to come up and get a closer look at lunchtime, just stop over at lunch there. You're not going to fly this thing, are you? We have liability issues. Yeah.
I didn't bring that remote.
Okay.
So
I think it'll mess up the Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi, yeah. I won't even get into that. So this system right here, it's a remote. and everything the camera sees, I can see on this monitor right here. So I will clip it into a harness or put it on a large tripod, and I'll fly the camera. So whenever I move an input here, the camera will tilt, or it will focus in, or it'll pan. And a second person can be just focusing on whether the aircraft is in a safe place or not. So this is something new from FreeFly that I'm loving. And one of the things that how Chris and I differ is that my focus is very manual. I have climbers that are hanging from ropes. As you saw, some of these folks are hanging from ropes thousands of feet in the air. And I'm maintaining a visual line of sight of separation between the aircraft and the rope. And I'm also trying to fly the camera. So this system over here that was, a single pilot, single camera operator, I was flying this thing by these guys, and I had developed that trust with them. But, I felt that it was a manual operating station would have been a little bit more of an advantage there. But there's a lot of other applications, skiing and riding bikes down these amazing trails. The autonomous systems I think that they're a big part of the future. But as a filmmaker and a photographer, I still want to have some kind of manual input as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. I mean, I love this thing. So, Chad is a trained pilot, thank you, and a skilled operator. I'm not. So we think all of this goes into this. And how do you do that? And the answer is, obviously you don't turn all of these into on-screen buttons. You let autonomy do almost all the work, and you basically boil this down to, exactly the way you would take a picture with your camera. You look at the picture and you sort of say, "That's what I want." Click or go, and let the robot figure out everything else. Now, you're not going to get the level of directorial intent. You're not going to, Chad is essentially a director of photography, and if you go to Hollywood, there's still somebody looking through the lens and capturing it live. But for most of us who don't have the skills or the ability to, I don't know, how many hands do you have?
I keep a few in the back.
Yeah.
Don't know.
So this is the pro, the highest level of performance. But for the rest of us, we just want to get the shot. We don't have the training or skills, and I think that autonomy allows this. So that's a solo operator. That's a solo, very trained operator. We want to make it for solo everybody, where you don't fly the vehicle; it flies itself. You don't fly the camera. If you want to spot that, you want to track that person, and just get the shot from kind of a Hollywood-like perspective. Just say, click, track that, and then let the drone figure out how to get the shot.
What would be your best advice for a business person in the audience who does want to try this in their business? Obviously, buy a 3D robotics drone would be your first piece of advice, but are there any other practical tips, things they should actually really avoid, or things that they should make sure to do if they want to fly a drone over a house, if they're a real estate agent, or something else like that?
Well, first of all, if you do want to fly, there's all these toys you can get on Amazon for $20, the little tiny quadcopters. It's actually, I would recommend buying a toy, getting a sense of how a multicopter works with one of those. If they're about this big, they can crash them, it won't do any damage. That's a great way to start. Once you're putting a camera on it or a GoPro on it, at that point, for fun, just go to the park and do it. If you're actually wanting to experiment in a commercial context, do inform yourself about the rules. Under 400 feet, within visual line of sight, away from built-up areas. Make sure you're doing it in an evaluation context. If you need to actually scale it up for your business proper, you can work with our association, the Small UAV Coalition, and get what's called an R&D exemption, a Section 333 R&D exemption. They're starting in your backyard with toys, moving to the park, as a person, as an individual. By the time you're ready to scale it out in a business, you probably want to talk to the coalition.
Very good. How about you, Chad? Any practical tips from someone who actually flies these things in his daily job?
The first thing that I always want to advise people is if you see someone flying a drone in the first place, give them a little bit of space until the drone lands. Because for me, especially when I'm operating the larger systems, there's a lot of responsibility going on right there. I have this system that you're looking at right here. that's about $65,000, $70,000 that's sitting in front of you. So I want to keep that safe, bring it home, and then, go from there. But just like, Chris said here, it's about starting small, fly something that does not have a camera. There's the hobby stores that have things. You can order these aircraft online, and just, fly a lot. I think that I went from nothing to flying this one here in about 6 weeks, and I think it took me another 6 weeks to fly it well. But I understand the pilot's perspective, and that's one of the things that the FAA is looking for in certification down the road. Is right now, in order to fly under the 333, what do they call it? It's the reauthorization or something. You have to be a pilot, and you have to stay under 400 feet, and maintain a lot of the responsibilities.
So Chad, we had you on our GeekWire radio show last weekend, and you told the story about when you actually lost one of your drones, about $70,000 worth of equipment in the Hawaiian Ocean. Sorry to bring that up again. Chris, give us the most dramatic place you've lost a drone, if you have.
Following Richard Branson kiteboarding in the British Virgin Islands.
Went down in the water?
We basically said, look, we don't get many chances to have a drone auto-follow Richard Branson while he's kiteboarding on Necker Island. We're going to put everything we got in the air. We're going to get it from every angle. We're going to throw them out there until they break. And
one did.
And one eventually did. It was hot. It was at the end of a long day. We lost a motor.
That's very good. All right, guys. Well, thank you, both of you, for being here very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to Chris Anderson and Chad Copeland. Thank you both very much.
Thank you. Thanks,
Chris.
Chad.
Thanks for doing this.
Thanks. Good to see you.